The first time my mother stopped answering my calls, she didn't announce it. That would have at least been honest. Instead, she let them ring. Then she sent shorter texts. Then eventually nothing at all unless it involved practical information. Your insurance card still comes here. Your aunt asked about you. Hope you're okay. Never, I believe you. Emily made the accusation 3 days after we broke up, not at a police station first. Online, a long post written sometime after midnight, vague enough to avoid specifics but clear enough that everyone who knew us understood who she meant. By the next afternoon, people I hadn't spoken to in years were suddenly watching my social media stories. Friends stopped replying normally. Coworkers became careful around me. My older brother Caleb called sounding exhausted before I had even fully understood what was happening. You need to tell me if there's anything I should know. I remember staring at my apartment wall while he said it. Not, are you okay? Not, what happened? Just a quiet attempt to calculate risk. There's nothing to know, I said, but uncertainty spreads faster than facts, especially when people think they're being responsible. Emily eventually went to the police. Detectives interviewed both of us. They reviewed messages, timelines, security footage from the bar we'd been at that night. I cooperated with everything because innocent people always imagine cooperation naturally fixes things. It doesn't. Weeks later, investigators formally closed the case. No charges. Contradictions in her account. Witness statements that didn't align objectively. It should have mattered. Emotionally, the damage had already settled into place. My father said he was glad things got cleared up, but he said it carefully, like someone stepping onto weak ice. My mother cried during one phone call without actually apologizing. We just didn't know what to think. That sentence followed me for years because they had thought something, just not enough of me. I left Indianapolis 6 months later after a supervisor quietly suggested it might be best for workplace morale if I considered transferring branches. Nobody said the accusation was the reason, which somehow made it worse. I moved to Colorado, new city, smaller apartment, fewer explanations. I stopped trying to defend myself because there's no dignified way to repeatedly introduce yourself as someone innocent. Eventually, you either become your own witness or you disappear trying. Life became smaller, then steadier. I worked, cooked simple meals, started volunteering at a community boxing gym for teenagers after work twice a week. The kids didn't know my history. To them, I was just Nathan, the guy who reminded them to wrap their wrists properly and finish homework before training. There was relief in that. Years passed. Then my mother called unexpectedly on a Tuesday morning. My father had suffered a stroke, not fatal, but bad enough that suddenly nobody in the family knew how to manage medications, insurance forms, rehabilitation schedules, or long-term planning. Caleb owned a landscaping company and worked 12-hour days. My mother panicked under pressure. Everyone kept saying the same thing during phone calls. You're better at this stuff. I almost laughed the first time I heard it. For years, I'd been treated like a potential threat people needed distance from. Now I was apparently the reliable one. I flew back anyway. The hospital smelled exactly like every hospital. Coffee, sanitizer, exhaustion. My father looked smaller in the bed than I remembered. Age had softened him in humiliating ways. He squeezed my hand once when I entered the room but didn't say much. Most conversations became logistical after that. Doctors, therapy schedules, billing departments. During one administrative meeting, a hospital case coordinator sat across from us reviewing paperwork. And you're the son overseeing financial and legal decisions, she asked me. Before I could answer, my mother nodded. Yes, Nathan's handling everything. The room went strangely quiet afterward. Because 5 years earlier they had barely trusted me inside their homes. Now strangers automatically assumed I was the stable one, and my family accepted it without hesitation. That was the moment something shifted permanently for me. Not power exactly, clarity. One evening after visiting hours, Caleb and I sat in the hospital parking garage, eating vending machine sandwiches in silence. Then he said without looking at me, I heard Emily admitted later some things didn't happen the way she said. I waited. She told somebody during another breakup she got angry and things got out of control. The concrete ceiling hummed softly above us. That was years ago, I said. I know. Neither of us mentioned the obvious part. He had needed strangers to verify my character before he reconsidered it himself. A few days later, my mother apologized the only way she seemed capable of. We were scared, she said quietly, while folding my father's laundry in the rehab center waiting room. We didn't know what to believe. I looked at her hands instead of her face. You believed distance was safer than loyalty. She started crying almost immediately, which made me regret saying it and mean it at the same time. I stayed 3 months, long enough to stabilize things. Long enough to teach my mother the insurance system. Long enough for my father to walk short distances again with a cane. Then I left. Back in Colorado, life resumed its shape quickly. The gym kids still needed rides home. My apartment still stayed quiet. The mountains still looked blue at dusk from my kitchen window. My family calls more now. Sometimes I answer. Sometimes I let the phone ring while I finish making dinner. Neither choice feels entirely right.